I have this poem called Carl's Jr., and I was inspired to write it because I was thinking about the concept of human trafficking, which I run in a lot of justice circles. And to be honest, I don't really know a lot about human trafficking. And I didn't want to address it in a way that acted like I knew more about it than I actually do. So I just started thinking, what is the root of this thing? And how can, instead of me trying to quote facts and do all this Google research, I just thought about myself. How have I been affected by the existence of human trafficking, but also what led to human trafficking and my role in it? And I started thinking about culturally how, where I was raised as an American, as a Californian, as I started thinking about sexuality and the relationship between men and women. And I had a realization that there were completely conflicting and opposite messages that I had been taught my whole life. And that is, number one, that human trafficking, buying sex, engaging in prostitution on either side of it is wrong, is immoral, is absolutely wrong. And most people of any background or faith or lack of faith all agree that this is a bad thing for society, the purchasing of sex. So buying sex is wrong. But at the same time, we live in a culture who one of our slogans is sex sells, right? And we use sex to sell absolutely anything. And I thought of Carl's Jr. because in my experience, growing up from a little kid, a little boy, I remember seeing these incredibly sexual commercials for a hamburger. And I thought to myself, what the heck does this have to do with it? But I think the problem is there is a relationship between some degree of sexual pleasure and purchasing, right? And so you can't actually buy sex, but you can use sex to sell things, and it's okay to buy a certain degree of sexiness, right? So we can use sex to sell a hamburger or cologne or deodorant. Everything, particularly as a male, everything masculine has exploitation of women connected to it. You know, so if you like sports, you have cheerleaders. Boxing, you know, you have the girls in the bikinis, you know. I mean, you just name it. Cars, meat, hamburgers, you know, that's like a masculine thing to eat for whatever reason, even though I'm sure plenty of women like hamburgers too. But everything associated with kind of stereotypical male culture, there was also this exploitation of women attached to it. And that's seen as okay. It's seen as fun. It's seen as good. And so you can't tell people that and expect them to not be confused. You can't say it's okay to buy sexiness, but you can't buy sex. You know, because how does your brain know where the limit is? How do you know when to cut it off? You know, so I can go to a particular restaurant and you know, pay for my burger to be served by a voluptuous woman. You know what I'm saying? On the other side of things, people can flirt with you on purpose, your waitress, to know that you'll leave a bigger tip, you know, and in both ways. It's like, if I leave a big tip, then they'll, you know, be a little more friendly. And so again, this relationship between spending and buying and some degree of sexual pleasure, that's absurd to me. To say that's okay, but buying sex isn't. And so I just started thinking about my experience as a male, and not only as a male, it affects women too, how we think about ourselves, how women are taught to respect yourself and be a lady, but then to see so many examples of people who are either making money or getting some sense of power or prestige by exploiting themselves. How is there not a temptation to act and dress and look a certain way when you see women like that get so much attention or so much admiration from both other women and men, who get so much opportunities that you won't get if you don't act that way. And so, again, it's confusing. Be a lady, but also, do what you need to do to have the success you want. And be a gentleman, but, there's nothing wrong with being a guy. Beat your chest and that was the inspiration behind that poem.